Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the role of the media and the influence that it plays on people as citizens, as your civic duty. How does that affect and shape your mind? Okay, so first we're going to read through this worksheet called The Role of Media. So we're going to start up here. What is the media? The word media means different things depending on how it's used. Media is the plural form of the word medium. A medium is a method of communicating information, entertainment, or other messages. Television is one popular medium. Radio, the internet, and cell phones are all examples of commonly used media. The term mass media refers to methods of communicating with large numbers of people. A lot of media exists purely for entertainment, such as movies and television sitcoms. But when you hear the phrase the media, usually it's referring to the sources of our news and information about current events. Paying attention to the media is how we stay informed on what's going on in the world around us and what our government is doing. So where do you guys get your information? What kind of medium do you use to get most of your information? Yahoo? Okay. So is that like your saved page on the internet?
Or like Google,
Google, yeah. Okay, so how do you find out information? Like if something big happened in the news, how would you guys probably know about
it?
Facebook, right? A lot of people get their information from Facebook. It's a really popular medium, okay, or a way to get your information. All right, so let's keep going. We're going to talk about why that's important and how you can better understand that information via Facebook. All right, the media is a gatekeeper. The gatekeeper stands guard at a gate and decides who gets to pass through and who doesn't. Its role as gatekeeper. In its role as gatekeeper, the media decides which stories and issues are important enough to receive public attention and which aren't. As a citizen, it's important for you to realize that there are many serious events and issues you will never hear about on the evening news. Each news outlet has its own criteria for deciding which stories get through the gate and into the public eye. To understand why, you need to understand two things. The media is a business, and the media is almost always biased. Do you know what biased means? Okay, so like regarding baseball, I'm biased towards the Cubs. My family, we're all Cub fans. It's what I grew up watching. It's what I enjoy. Okay? Now, my husband is biased towards the Cardinals. He grew up near St. Louis. His family is all Cardinals fans. He went to ball games with his dad. Okay? So, he would prefer the Cardinals. Okay? That's just what he prefers. Okay? If you're biased towards something, you kind of lean towards that way. Okay, so we've talked about people who are conservative or liberal. So if you're conservative, you tend to be more traditional in your views. Okay, in a very, very, very traditional standpoint, people who are conservatives tend to go more Republican on things, which would mean like marriages between a man and a woman. No. They should not legalize abortion. Okay, more small government, like that tends to be more conservative. Liberal tends to be more democratic, where you are gay marriage is okay. That should be the woman's right to choose on an abortion, things like that. Okay, that's one extreme. That's the other. A lot of people fall somewhere in the middle. Okay. Some people tend to be more biased. News outlets tend to be more biased. Okay, CNN might lean one way, whereas Fox News might lean another way. Okay, I try to show you the nightly news because it tends to be the most in the middle. Okay, when it talks about the gatekeeper, okay, so when you read the newspaper or you watch the news, what's the first thing people always say? There's always what in the news? Bad stuff, drama, right? Okay. Is there anything in the news about how Eisenhower High School had over 30 people show up to put together Thanksgiving baskets for people in our community? Nope. Was there anything in the news about how one of our teachers cut off a foot of her hair to donate in honor of a student of ours who's sick, and where they were going to make a wig in that girl's honor? Was anything like that in the news?
No, it was really a teacher who did that.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything in the news about how the Eisenhower basketball team scored second, or placed second in the turkey tournament this weekend?
I seen that on Facebook.
Okay, saw it on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But did it make headlines in the news? No. Okay. What about when there was that report we got put on that somebody anonymously called the police and said that there was a weapon at Eisenhower? Even though it was a false statement, did that get media attention immediately? Yeah. There were news trucks outside of our school before the end of the day. Okay? Why do news outlets focus on those kind of stories instead of the other 3 or 4 that I just mentioned?
So they can let everybody know what's going on.
Sells papers, gets people to watch the news, right? News is a business. They want you to watch it. Okay? So that's why they'll say more at 10 and you're watching the 4 o'clock news. Okay? They want you to also watch the 10 o'clock news. Okay? It's just they want to sell papers. They want to sell magazines. That's why you see those magazines at the grocery store and it says, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so broke up, or, oh, so-and-so's having another baby. Okay? Sells papers. Media gatekeeper, their criteria, they understand you need to understand 2 things. Media is a business. Okay? And the media is almost always biased. No matter how you feel, even me as your teacher, I am biased on different things because of my background. I don't mean to be. I try not to be, but I end up being biased. Okay? I might be biased towards something different than Mr. Shugart. He might be biased towards one way and I might be biased the other way. We can't help it. You try to be neutral, but it's hard. It's hard for the media as well. All right. Gatekeeper. B is for business. Most people get their news from television, radio, or a newspaper, either print or online. With the exception of PBS, the public broadcasting system, most are commercial or for-profit sources. They make money by selling time or space to advertisers, but advertisers won't pay for ads nobody will see. So for-profit media must make the news as exciting as possible to attract lots of viewers. But let's face it, news programs are not always as exciting as, say, action films. In order to survive in today's culture, television news must keep things short, fast-paced, and exciting. On-the-hour radio news is even shorter. Stories most likely get through the gate are those that are the most gripping. Ever wonder why the news is full of car crashes and house fires? Or that affect the most number of people. If a story can't be told in a quick 15-second soundbite, it's likely to be left outside the gate. 15 seconds. That's quick. That's half of the tardy song. If you can't convey a message in half of the tardy song, it doesn't make it to the news. Okay? Think about when we have a shooting in our country. The most deadliest shooting in American history. Right? When we had that Vegas shooting. Okay? The deadliest shooting in American history. The most horrible terrorist attack in American history. Okay? And you hear those things all the time because the news is trying to sell it. Okay? When you hear about problems at Eisenhower yet again, okay? Because then people go, oh my God, what's happening to this town? This town's falling apart. Okay? No, it's not. It's really not that different than from when I was a kid. But the media portrays it as another way because they need to sell those commercial spots. They need to sell those ads. They need to sell that newspaper. Okay? So they're going to go towards that way because then people are like, yeah, oh my gosh, that is horrible. And people want to buy into it. Okay? Need to change my settings. All right. Gatekeeper, B is for biased. Bias means favoring one view over another. As a human being, it's impossible to be completely unbiased, even if you try. The media is made up of human beings. Therefore, even when media outlets try to be unbiased, they're not always successful. Bias may cause the media to open the gate to some stories instead of others, or report stories in a way that is weighted towards one side. There are many causes of bias. The most common among media sources is being more politically liberal, leaning towards the Democrats, or conservative, leaning towards Republicans. All right. Let's scroll down here. Scroll down. Flip the page. We're too tech. All right, the media as an agenda setter. Because of its role as a gatekeeper, the media is largely responsible for deciding what issues society discusses in the public sphere. That means the media also determines which issues are on the public agenda and which is the to-do list of issues that the public agrees are a priority. An issue won't get on the public agenda unless it's being discussed in the public sphere, and it won't be discussed in the public sphere if nobody has heard about it. Okay, so what are we hearing about in the news over and over and over again lately?
Sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment cases. So-and-so raped somebody. Somebody sexually harassed all these women over the last 30 years. That is everywhere in the news right now, okay? But so what's it getting people talking about?
People or celebrities.
Okay, you're talking about these celebrities. You're talking about the way that our mass entertainment companies, these TV companies, these movie companies, how men and women are treating each other, okay? They're saying that for years, women felt like they couldn't get that movie role or they couldn't get that TV role if they didn't sleep with somebody, if they didn't allow these horrible things to happen to them, okay? So it's getting people talking about those things. Before this, were we not hearing over and over and over again in the media about how police brutality? African Americans feel like they're being singled out by the police. Okay, there's injustice in our system on the number of incidents involving African American men in the police. Okay, we've heard about that, right? We've heard about white men shooting up schools, shooting up places. Okay, we've heard about that a lot. Do you see how there's kind of this like shift, like one big topic kind of overtakes everything in our media? Okay, that's how it's setting the agenda. Okay, we're talking about gun safety laws. Oh, we need new gun safety laws. That man shot all those people in Las Vegas. Okay, what is in the media shapes public opinion. The media's role as an agenda setter is very controversial. Some people don't think that for-profit corporations should set our public agenda. They worry that many important issues will never get public attention. Some issues just aren't as exciting enough to compete with entertainment. Others are too complex to fit into a short soundbite. Although the public decides which issues to care about, the media only tells the public about a few of the issues that exist. Therefore, people worry that the public does not really have much of a choice about what issues are important. People also worry that a biased media influences the public agenda toward one way of thinking or over another. Okay, so when all you hear is shooting, 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 it's natural to think is, oh, we got a gun problem in our community, right? Okay, that's what they're trying to get you to think towards. Not maybe do we have a mental health problem in our community? Maybe we have some people who, do we have some loopholes in our system so that people who are suffering from PTSD from the military are getting through these loopholes, okay? That last man who killed his wife and then went and shot at a school, and then the people hunted him down in Texas. He was from the Air Force, discharged from the Air Force, and should not have been allowed to purchase all those weapons. The Air Force admitted they made a mistake and that he didn't get in the system in time. Okay, so we're only hearing pieces of stories, okay? It's kind of shaping our opinion one way. All right, the media as a watchdog. A real watchdog stands guard and barks loudly. A real watchdog stands guard and barks loudly to alert the owner if there's something wrong. In its role as watchdog, the media keeps watch on the government and others in power. It speaks out to alert the public if something happens that shouldn't. Local news stations often have a segment in which they investigate problems for people. Entire hour-long news shows are devoted to exposés, which are stories designed to expose wrongdoing. Government officials who engage in bad behavior know they will be on every news show and newspaper in the country if they are caught. Although a watchdog will bark when there's something wrong, most of the time the watchdog just watches. Thanks to the media, we live in a world where we can turn on the television and watch our government in action at any given moment. Stations such as C-SPAN broadcast activity directly from the floor of Congress for everyone to see. Simply reporting information is plain watchdog too. Without the media, we would not know what is happening behind closed doors. Okay, so back when I lived in Edwardsville, it's been a while, I can remember a news report that came out where the news was investigating school districts in the area and how much money people were making. And there was a secretary in East St. Louis who was making over $90,000 a year. This secretary was also the daughter of the superintendent. But nobody knew that the secretary was making $90,000 a year. Traditionally, secretaries make about $35,000, $35,000. Okay, so she was making 3 times the amount of most secretaries because her dad was a superintendent. Okay, so that got exposed, and that's a giant no-no. Okay, that's like money under the table for your family. Okay, so that was a big thing. You'll see reports about, like the other day, there was one on the Today Show. Kind of programs are notorious for this. This morning there was one on, and they went to beauty counters at like Bergner's and Macy's and stuff, and tested the makeup to see if it had bacteria in it.
What?
And a whole bunch of the makeup had like E. coli and different bacteria that you find in people's feces. Hey. I think I'll have to look at how many days. I'll have to check how many days we get. I know for sure we get a day, if not a day and a half, for sure. But we can always work something out. So we have to go to,
in 3 weeks. So I will probably.
like this Friday, I have meetings at Hope in the afternoon. So if you wanted to do the morning release and get in the afternoon, or whatever.
Use it that way.
Just
too.
email Miss Coffee, and tell her what day you want to take it,
Okay.
and she can put it in as whatever.
I'm thinking just the whole day, but we'll see how does that gonna work. How much am I going to get all the data together?
Yeah.
Well,
Do whatever you need.
I probably think next week, not this week, week after.
Yep.
Let's
You need
go.
to stay
Yep,
for-
headed to lunch. Okay, have a good lunch.
You got the,
Yes, I did. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even see the first email.
Did he send me first?
It showed up, like, it did not show up on my phone, but like when I was replying to his emails for on my computer, it showed that he emailed me back in October.
Oh.
Sorry, didn't see it. So, no, we'll get it figured out.
Once they give you all those things, just to bill to me,
Okay,
not to.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Thanks. No, so they did that study on the Today Show this morning and found all this bacteria that is found in like human feces in the makeup on the display counters for samples and stuff. So that's a sample of Media Watchdog. Okay, after lunch we're going to start with this active participation review worksheet. And then you have a couple other worksheets that are going to be talking about the role of the media. Okay? There's a few other worksheets that we're gonna be doing this afternoon.